prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and may you grace your may your grace cover each aspect of this meeting. We pray that all voices will be heard, and this will be a safe space for people to express their opinions. We ask you to watch over our first responders and military. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, folks. I want to introduce Evan and Lucas Abel. They're our scouts, they're part of our troop. Appreciate the invitation, and they're going to lead us in our pledge of the Texas and U.S. flag. So please stand, remain standing.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Man, we're glad to see some fresh blood in here of that. So that's thank you, guys. Appreciate that very much. Okay, starting off tonight, as usual, I got to read a little disclaimer. Citizens who wish to address the council on any matter may sign up at the sheet. If you haven't already done so, please do. Right here, prior to the meeting here, public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And as is normal, no discussion or decisive action will be taken by the city council, that's by state law, on anything that's not on the agenda. Hey, got that? Now, I understand the scouts have a short report they'd like to hear, so you'll want to give your report, you're welcome to right now.
All right. So in the past months, we have assisted the auxiliary in their Halloween festival and trunk or treat by running several carnival games, and some of our scouts were at the last weekend's art show as door greeters. We have had a busy fall, and in September we did a cleanup project and camp out at Gatesville Drive-In. We decided on October to go paddling and trail and kayaks. We left from the marina to the island. Then we went into the cove by Oakmont and back to the marina. This past weekend, we also did a day trip down to Interspace Caverns for their Hidden Trails trail. For our weekly meetings, we have been focusing on new scouts achieving their early rank advancements, such as Scout and Tenderfoot. Additionally, our 3 life rank scouts are rounding off merit badges and looking to work on Eagle projects next year. We would like to thank the city for their continued support in scouting and scouting-related activities for Troop 118.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Y'all keep up the good work. You're welcome to stay for the meeting, but I can understand if you've got other commitments, so that's up to you. Appreciate it very much. Obviously, that did not take long. Okay, for citizens' comments, Jimbo Snyder, I think you're the first one in.
I'll be brief, I promise. I gotta go to training after this and watch the real firemen train, because I'm not. So, I just wanted to come up today and thank council and thank all the citizens. We had over 1,800 people vote this time around, and I just think that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Congrats to the city. So, you know, folks showed up and they let their voices be heard. You know, we crushed all the turnouts in the past. So, obviously things didn't turn out the way I hoped they would, but that's okay. It was the first step, so I think that's a good thing. So, Roxanne, thank you for running. A couple people I want to thank in particular, really just bold enough to share their opinions and taught me a couple things. Larry, thank you. Pat Clune is not here. I want to thank him for sharing those things. And, you know, I just, again, thank council for putting that on the agenda and letting us go through the process, and thank the people for coming out and voting. I think the goal now is to keep people involved, so, and to kind of capitalize on that. So, last thing I'll say is I'll see you in May for a do-over.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
You bet, thank you. Lynn, you're number 2 on here.
I got a little more than him, but anyway. Hi, I'm Lynn Milam, 28 Morgan's Point Boulevard, president of the Morgan's Point Resort Cops Organization. And first off, I would like to thank, we had Morgan's Point Cops Organization teams every year with Fellowship Baptist Church for the trunk or treat. And this year, the city joined us, so I would like to thank the city, along with Fellowship Baptist Church, the fire department, the police department, the ladies auxiliary, maintenance department, Boy Scout Troop 118, dive team, and anybody else, if I forgot, please, thank you. I really wanted to thank the cops members and the police department, because this year was the first year, this is the third year, and we wrapped 1,200 bags of candy. And usually we do it. And, you know, there's like 6 of us, 8, something like that. And this year, all of the police officers showed up. All of the police officers, including the chief, and everybody says, all right, what do we do? Where do we get started? And we just all start, and stuff away, you know. It takes a long time to stuff 1,200 bags of candy for people. But in with that, that was used by the fire department, the NPR cops, the police department, and the actual police, their booth as well. So I just want to thank everybody that participated, because just like every year, this has been the third year, and it's fabulous every time. We have such a big crowd, such a big turnout, and those kids just love it so much. And so that's on that. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. That's for later. That's for him. Okay. Yeah, I was like, wait, they're sitting right there. Now I'm going to have to shh, man. Okay. We are also doing a Silver Santa collection for, it's part of Toys for Tots, but instead of for children, it's for the older folks in our community. And so we have a silver box with a nice big red bow up at City Hall. Thank you for allowing us to put that up there. And it has one of our flyers on the front of it. You can also find that information on Discover Morgan's Point, the NPR Cops page, the newsletter, what else did I forget, Linda? The website, yes. So any of those things, and it's ideas of things that the seniors need, that they, you know, maybe compression socks, large puzzles, things that maybe they can't afford, or, you know. And if you know of anybody, if you would like to nominate anybody, there's somebody trying to get in the door. If you know of anybody that's perhaps needs something that you might want to put on the list, go up and talk to Amanda at City Hall, and they've got the list behind the counter. And so it can put the information on it, then I'll get the list, and of course they will be involved. And I have been asked twice, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and tonight already, if you don't have time to go out and shop, yes, we take checks, and then we'll go out and do the shopping, and we'll stuff, and, you know, and that's perfect, and thank y'all so much for that. Okay, and but please, if you know someone to nominate, please don't hesitate. Call me, or my number's on all of those things we just said, and the sign-up sheet at the City Hall. We also are doing we're partnering, there's 2 folks, a married couple here in Morgan's Point, that own a LuLaRoe business, and I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but it's like clothing for children and girls, and they've actually got men now too. Well, so in supporting somebody with a small business locally, they are going to give a percentage of their sales for the week of December 3rd through the 10th, as is their company. They put us in through the headquarters, and we were approved, and so their headquarters is going to match whatever they do. And the cops, we have decided to give this to Fellowship Baptist Church for their bus program. They're trying to raise money for the buses. as they are so kind to always partner with us. They come out at the Easter egg hunt. They let us have meetings over there. They let us use their parking lot. They, you know, they're Pastor Jeremy's fabulous. They're fabulous. They're very giving people, and the cops, we really appreciate them. So we're going to do this and give our proceeds to the church. So this is also, I just got the flyer done before we came in here, so I'll be putting that on all of those places. And if y'all want to go over there anytime from the 3rd to the 10th, I'll also add, it's going to have a website on there too if you don't want to get out and go over there. But anything, if you've got girls, women, anybody on your list, little ones, just if you want to please buy something from them, and we will get a percentage of that, and we will turn that over to Fellowship Baptist Church. Pastor Jeremy doesn't know that yet, so don't tell him, Dalton. And and on December the 2nd, we will be helping the city with the Christmas parade party. We'll have tables here. We're doing crafts again this year, and the kids are going to be able to make their own crafts. And God love him, I just came off of a 60-hour work shift, and while I was gone, I asked my other half, and if y'all know Alan, I was like asking that wall to do something like this, creative. And I said, here's some books. Please pick out some simple coloring things, and I'd like a stack this high when I come home. My gosh, if it wasn't there. God love him, Alan did it. And so we've got all kinds of little things. Yeah, really. Sorry, honey. All kinds of little things. We're going to have coloring contests from ages 0 to 4, 5 to 8, and 9 to 12 with prizes. So y'all think about that and bring, if y'all aren't already planning to come to the Christmas parade, come on out because we'll be here. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Not only was Lynn comment for her citizens, but she's also the committee report. So that's the reason there ain't over 3 minutes and we did the same thing. So that now, come on, please. Okay, Pam, where you at? There you are.
I'm Pam Robinson from the Mary Ruth Briggs Library, and I want to report on the art show that was held last Saturday night. It was a success, I think. We think approximately 150 people or more. We started losing count. The Boy Scouts worked the front door giving out little stickers for people to put on the pictures, and they felt the same way too. So 130 art pieces, 46 artists participated, and this year we had something new in that the people here gave a little sticker on an art piece that they liked, and we chose the winners. And that was a lot of fun for everybody. Got a little crowded, everybody trying to jockey around, maybe the same pictures. But we have 4 winners. Best in Show, Judy Dillon for her monarch butterfly. First, Caleb Hurst for his mountain lion. Second, Carol Sherry, Girls Night Out. And third, Caleb Hurst again with his Knight in Armor. And congratulations to all the people because there were so many things to choose from, so many things. And each of the winners received a ribbon and they received a gift card. So that was the first time we did that. I want to thank a few people here. Joe Stanfield. He and I worked in this room for 2 days, sorting and hanging, and we got it done. And also Misty, I don't know if she's here tonight, Misty Ballard, she got us the 2 vineyards, and it worked out very well. Barbara Wilson of the Wilson Art School brought all of her crew. Jim Ann, Andrew Bill, the Boy Scouts helped at the front door. They passed out the little stickers, and you could put them on the art piece. And all the volunteers who came in on different shifts, Friday and Saturday. And we sorted, we put stuff up, we took it down. We had differences of opinion about where it should go, but we finally all agreed. So all in all, it was a great success, and I think it was better than last year. Come see us next year for the 5th annual.
Thank you, Pam. One thing that shows there's a lot of talent in the world, and I can't even participate in that. There is a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. It was a great show. Thank you. Larry? Well, here you are.
Well, this comment goes, I guess, to Pam Robinson. The reason we need another building, we need a bigger building. You couldn't even get in here, so Pam, thank you, great job. You did. The other thing, the intersection, I know it's been about 2 years, Dalton and Dennis, we kind of talked about it, and you're going to get with TxDOT to see about, some kind of arrangement, because they have funding and different things we can do with that. And I know one of the ideas was a roundabout. I don't know if that's ever come up. But TxDOT said that all they needed was a letter from you, sign and say, hey, can you study our intersection? Have you sent that letter or for the mayor?
Can't answer, but we'll talk.
No, I'm just-
Yeah, get with me next
Okay,
week.
I
Get with me
mean,
next
it's just something, because it takes them so long to get anything done, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't cost us a penny, as far as a city to
Yeah.
have something, whether it's a roundabout or a nice intersection, because the traffic is just, gonna be a problem at some point in time there. The other thing is our sales tax. I've noticed the last 5 to 7 months, it's been negative from the previous year. We're having less sales tax. Does anybody know a reason for that, or is all the companies reporting that they're in Morgan's Point and not in Belton? Anybody know that?
Okay, we can't, Larry, I'm sorry, we can't.
Well, it's not a discussion. I just know if you know it or not. If you know it or
We'll,
not.
we'll talk with it, right?
Yeah.
Come by and we'll talk about it, but we can't do
Okay.
it open session, okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is if you know it or not. I don't want to discuss it. I just want to know if you're aware of it.
I'm looking at it every month when it comes out, I'm well aware of it.
So you know we're behind than the previous years?
You need to spend more
Okay.
money.
All right, it doesn't make sense, because all the other cities in Bell County are in the black and we're in the red. And business is good all around, so I just, one time before, we did have an issue where the Belton was getting all our sales tax. So, I don't know if you can check into that, look into that, it's, we hate to lose that money. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Dorothy?
Hi. I'm Dorothy Allen, and I live at 48 South Cliffwood Circle. And I saw the marketing communication position on the agenda, and I just want to give you my 2 cents. First, I know you know that Joanne and I co-administer the website together, and we recreated and distribute a weekly newsletter for over 400 of our residents who actually subscribe to it. And I was gone most of the summer, so I missed the budget meetings, but I had heard that someone said or told the council at a budget meeting or a couple budget meetings that volunteers were burnt out in their roles. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. I just wanted you to know I am absolutely not burnt out. In fact, I'm energized by volunteering with my city in this way. And I won't speak for Joanne, but she and I have talked about it. And we both enjoy volunteering for our city. And we would both like to continue doing it if possible. And I'd be willing to bet that if you talk to most of our volunteers, Lynn and Karen, I think they really enjoy what they do in their capacities for our city as volunteers. And you might want to check with them directly. If we need someone coordinating all the events of our city that are sponsored by these volunteer organizations, because each of these are separate legal corporations. The COPS is a separate organization and auxiliary, and I can see where the city might need some coordination of those. I bet we could get a volunteer to do that too. In fact, I think last year Jim Ann did it, and I think it worked pretty well this year. A committee, yes, you coordinated all the COPS and the auxiliary and the library, Yeah, you were the facilitator, right, right. So that's what I have to say on that. And then, secondly, I would just like to encourage and implore our city council to prioritize infrastructure, things like our water storage, roads, and parks, ahead of what I consider administration and overhead functions. On infrastructure, I personally have a passion for our parks. They're a natural resource that we have in this community that I think need a lot of updating and improvements. And the EDC's reinvention of Kleypas Park with a grant, some EDC money, and some in-kind donations from the city, I think is just a perfect example of investing in our parks. And I think that also has a direct benefit to our residents. I would also, on that note, I would love to encourage City Council to reestablish a Parks and Rec Committee. We haven't had that committee since I've lived here, but I understand we used to have it. And I think that would go a long way to help improve our parks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Mark?
Good evening. My name is Mark Allen. I live at 48 South Cliffwood Circle. And I was hoping to better understand our grant process. I looked through the agenda and the materials for tonight, and I was surprised that we didn't have more grant applications in, and maybe I'm missing it, in the queue, so to speak, for infrastructure projects. In particular, our water storage project. I know that there was a grant application process started on that 3 years ago. There was a team of folks that went down from the city, met with the Texas Water Development Board in hopes of getting this water storage project funded. Since then, I think there's literally been trillions of dollars funded for infrastructure projects at a national level. I know that specifically on the water storage project, that I think we funded that with certificates of obligation about 18 months ago. I don't think there's anything that prevents us from getting a grant for that project. We haven't started it yet, paying off those certificates of obligation. We haven't started the project. We funded that loan about a year and a half ago. But I got to think that water storage project is right down the middle of the fairway for the grants that are out there. I know our neighboring cities have gotten them. And again, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I didn't see it in the report, but, you know, Moffett got almost, with another $600,000, they had almost $4 million funded for their water storage. Belton's had millions and millions of dollars funded. Coppers Cove, Harker Heights. So I don't know, and I know CITCOG, Central Texas Council of Governments, has got, I want the council to know they have been very, very helpful with us. They were rolling their sleeves up and walking us through the application process for these grants 3 years ago. So they're still there to help guide us through that. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm missing it, but I kind of feel like we're sitting here after a big spring rain along the sides of the Guadalupe River, and there's all this water. It's just money. That's all that water going, and we haven't dipped in and gotten our share. It doesn't appear. So again, I may be missing it, but it sure seems that we can do better on the grant side, given the money out there, the needs that we have, the help that we can get from CITCOG, and hope to see some better funding. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Jim-Ann?
I was going to talk about the art show with Pam's, so thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's it for citizen comment?
Mom didn't have anything to say.
Moving on, next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Basically, the only thing on the consent agenda is minutes from last meeting of October the 11th. Anybody, do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Any second?
I'll second
Tom second. Is there any comments on it? Everybody looked it over, everybody good?
Yep.
Okay, been a motion made and accepted, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item number 3 is the canvass November 8th election result. And Dalton, I'm gonna turn it over to you on that.
That's above my pay grade. That's, basically, these were the results from the county.
Right.
The county's officially doing their canvass on the 18th, but we already confirmed with the county election that that the city can canvass, so this is on y'all.
We're waiting for the certification.
So-
We know we're to be hard, just other than being certified, so. We had almost 1,800 people or a little over vote total. We feel like that was one out of our point. They kind of combined ours with some other precincts, but we feel like that was the number for voting on citizens. Proposition 1 passed, Proposition 2, which was the home rule, did not. We had 2 candidates run for our city council, place 6. Thank y'all for running, but that didn't go, so we're gonna do it, y'all have talked to him, try to get him ready. Anybody else have any comments on that? Since we have no control over that, there's no motion to be accepted, there's nothing other than posting and informing everybody of the.
It is an ordinance.
There is an
so-
ordinance.
Yeah, so it'll have to be a motion, it'll have
Oh,
to
it
be
is
adopted.
ordinance, number 2020, okay. On each, motion to accept ordinance 2022.12.
Is there any other verbiage, Ophelia, that we have to do on canvassing the votes? No. Okay. I move for the adoption of ordinance 2022-12.
Then I think we accept the result of the election as verified by Bill Kelly. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Planning and zoning. You get all of this stuff today, right?
Yeah. So Becky's got some family commitments, so both Roxanne and I are on the planning and zoning committee. So mayor, city council, citizens, the planning and zoning committee met on November 1st. During that meeting, the following items were discussed and voted on for consideration by Morgan's Point Resort City Council. First item, P&Z discussed a garbage enclosure for commercial container ordinance. The city staff is currently working on a draft to present that at the next meeting. Item 2, P&Z discussed a sign ordinance. The city staff is currently working on a draft for our team to review. Third item, P&Z discussed storage on undeveloped lots. The updated ordinance is being presented to City Council tonight. Our next meeting will be on November 29th, and there will be no meeting in December. So both Becky and I sit on the Planning Steering Committee, so she has a report on that as well. The Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee met most recently on October 18th. During the meeting, the following items were discussed. We discussed the upcoming community workshops that were held on October 27th and 29th. We discussed the visual preference boards, what was on them and how they worked. So the 2 community workshops went well. October 27th at the event center was a come and go event. 42 people attended. On October 29th, the community workshop was at Fellowship Baptist Church. 20-something people attended. Great discussion happened. Our next meeting for the Planning and Steering Committee is going to be November 17th at 5 p.m. at the library.
Nikki, may I ask you a couple of questions? As far as the garbage enclosures that the staff is working on a draft for the commercial businesses, was there problems with that? Why are we addressing garbage enclosures in commercial areas?
Well, specifically when you come in and you look at Dollar General, it had an enclosure it fell over. We're looking at other cities. Just about every city around us has some sort of an ordinance that has an enclosure, a fence or something that kind of hides the big container. So we're looking at that.
Okay, I just want us to be cautious about that. We have a very small commercial area.
Yeah, we do.
And I toured it tonight, and I didn't see any problems with trash overflowing. They have the big waste management dumpsters, so I'd just like to caution a little bit on that. In our small commercial area, we're not Belton or Temple where, you know, they have a lot of different businesses, a lot of parts of town, and probably a lot of problems, but I just didn't know if this was, and I know that fell down. It seems like we could just go and ask them, could you please put it back up? But it's kind of a simple solution.
Yeah, I'll take your comments back to the.
Okay, thank you. And then also, what kind of signs? You're talking about a sign ordinance. What is this?
So the sign ordinance is, if you look at Belton, they have almost a 60-page sign ordinance. So we're not talking about that. There's a new church that came into Morgan's Point, and that church requested to put a new sign up. So if there is no sign ordinance, they could put the largest sign, could all be LED, could be flashing, it could be anything, right? The other aspect of the sign ordinance is it covers signs. As you come into Morgan's Point, you'll see there used to be a gas station. The sign is still up there, right? So the sign ordinance is meant to kind of cover old signs, taking them down, old signs, new signs, and hopefully we get a sign ordinance that is a look and feel of Morgan's Point, that we agree that all the signs should have some similarity to it. But we want input from the public on whether you want flashing LED lights or whether you want specific, you don't want specific things or you do want specific things. So we're kind of looking at that.
So are you saying the existing businesses that we have now that have their signs up, they may be asked to change their sign to conform to
No,
other signs?
every sign that's up is typically
It's
grandfathered
grandfathered
in. And then when they put up a new sign, this is sort of the way Belton reads theirs. If there's a hurricane and it knocks all the signs down, then you get to go back to the city ordinance and look at the sign.
Okay. And then my other question was, maybe I missed it and I go over my agenda, I spend hours with my agenda. Where's the ordinance on the undeveloped lots? It said it was supposed, Dalton, on the undeveloped lots, it says there's a updated ordinance presented to the city council tonight?
No, I'd have to go back on the P and Z stuff. I don't think there's been an agreement with P and Z yet, so I thought that was tabled,
Okay.
but I'll have to go back on my notes.
It was
so.
in the report that we were gonna get one tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that very much, David. Thank you. Okay, moving along, that took care of items 4 and 5. Item 6, discuss and consider EDC new member. That's new member is Jason Johnson. And anybody here for the EDC? No? You want to take it? You want to introduce, or?
He's not here.
I think you want to say anything about it? We do have an opening at the EDC with Economic Development Corporation. And we have one opening, is that correct? 2. Refill in 1?
Right,
Okay.
right. So Jason Johnson is a local realtor here in town. And originally, he signed on to the planning and zoning and decided he would be a better fit for the EDC. That's where his passion is. So we're making kind of the switch with your approval.
I appreciate it. Anybody in the council have any questions on that?
So I know we appointed him in August to the planning and
Right.
zoning.
He said it was
so-
a short
Short
term.
and sweet. So he decided his passion lied more with EDC was the reason that he got off that committee?
Right.
Okay.
Right. When he was doing his interview, it was all economic development rather than the ordinances and that type of thing, so.
Okay.
Okay, that's resolution 2022.27. Do I hear a motion to accept that, please?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2022.27.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on it? And that is to appoint Jason Johnson to the EDC board. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7, discuss communications marketing position.
Yeah, so really, excuse me, whatever's going around is allergies is ridiculous. So during the budget time, during the salary workshop, you know, we had brought up during the budget adoption, and there was basically, it was pending job description and any questions or concerns. Come September, during the budget tax adoption, or during the budget amendment, amending the budget that was adopted during the salary workshop and then adoption of the tax rate, the job description and everything was provided, and there was no other discussion. So really, this is clarification on, was it approved during the budget or was it not?
Well, I just want to say that in the budget workshop that we had in August, it was asked to place it on hold. And one was to provide us a job description, which you did at the very next meeting. And the other was, we had other things we wanted to talk about, such as Joyce's position. Could that person be there? Linda Bridges with EDC talked about EDC may want to put some funds toward this position. And none of that was ever talked about. It was never put on the agenda again. And so I feel like we haven't discussed it fully because, you know, my opinion, which I shared back then, was in less than 2 years, we've added 2 full-time positions to the administrative part of it. And I shared my position then too, is we have so many projects going on, and we have our audits going on, which I know I harp on all the time. We have the roads, we have that water storage, which was my top priority. And I just felt like we're kind of overloading the salaries in the administrative part of the budget. And once again, at that meeting, I also pointed out that our volunteers do so much of this job. And I really feel like we would be hurting our volunteer program, thus our citizens who are so passionate about doing these things. So I have a problem with this position from a financial standpoint, and also just because I feel, looking at the job description, a lot of these duties are things that are done with our volunteers, and also with these two positions that we've had that we've never had before, there should be extra time for them to be able to work on some of this stuff. I mean, looking at the grant program, we're not really working on that many grants, and so we have a full-time position for grants, and I think she helps out with finance, but I think some of these positions could kind of swing and do a little extra work. So those are my comments on it. I just don't feel that a city our size needs a marketing. I'm not even sure why we feel we need to market our city, but marketing and communication coordination. I think we have a good coordinator. Jim Ann, in fact, we're having a meeting this month where there is a committee of 3 people that gets the event calendars, discusses with the volunteers, the different groups, their program. So I just don't see the need in this position, and I think it's money we could spend elsewhere. Because we take that money, times it by, I think Dalton told us 33% in benefits. We're up to $60,000, $70,000 in a position with benefits included. So I feel it needs more discussion. If we're going to do it, I feel like we need to look at Joyce's position. Has that been filled yet, Dalton?
With a part-time person, yes.
Okay. And then I think we need to look at that, and I think we need to look at what EDC, what were they going to offer? That wasn't even brought back to the council at all. They said they may want to get in on hiring a position, you know, or helping us with the position. So we haven't had a discussion on that yet either. So I just don't think we have fully vetted this whole thing yet.
I think we were waiting on the job description for our last meeting.
So then what's next? If we're gonna talk about it, good, bad, or indifferent, is that a workshop? Is that
You know, I mean, can we do without it? Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do without. You know, we'll call it the trash gate that's been going on. You know, we communicated that. I know Councilmember Hartman had talked about it not being out in 30 days. We've communicated that. As far as I know, we've communicated that, you know, as much as we can over the past year. Yeah, there's always things that we could do better. You know, we're never going to be perfect on it. When you actually start communicating more, you start realizing that people want more communication. You know, we could always do things different. We can always look at things, you know, from a different perspective. When it comes to the volunteers, yeah, this is not replacing any volunteers by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, you know, talking with them, well, at least, again, I know that's going to always be circumstantial and he said, she said. So kind of my vision with it with the volunteers is to kind of help enhance it. You know, yeah, we could put a volunteer, you know, coordinator over that position, but again, they're also just volunteers. And I say just volunteers, not in a derogatory sense. I say volunteers from a standpoint of the coordination aspect of everything. You know, we talk about marketing. I mean, it could be simple things as event flyers, event brochures. We talk with the EDC, you know, that could absolutely be a part of it. Even though the EDC is tied to city council as a type B, it is still separate, and therefore, you know, the EDC can decide to do it. So I'd say if it's going to be part of the city, it'd be all in part of the city and then work with the EDC on the direction that they want to go. There's across the board, you know, especially with communications piece. I mean, you can, as we've seen, I mean, over just the past, you know, month, there could be never be enough communication, and how we go about doing that, we could always continue to improve. I do think this position would be beneficial in that we are. You know, again, this is up to the pleasure of council to decide if they want to. This was on hold. This was placed into the budget as a placeholder, funding wise. It is still structurally balanced. We'll talk about it a little bit more, kind of on the CO piece. We haven't even factored in interest, you know, gains that are coming in. You know, the bond that we initially were paying interest on through the general fund is actually now making money in this day and time simply because of that. Now, I know that's short term, but again, all this was balanced with using just the general fund money and the property taxes and everything coming in. So, yeah, we could go either way.
But you know, in my opinion, we have, if we're gonna hire positions, we could always say, this city could really use a city planner. How awesome would that be? We could use an additional finance, there's always positions that the city could use.
Correct.
I'm looking at being a city of 5,000 people, hiring a marketing and communication director. Surely our money is better spent, roads, infrastructure, or finances.
And we could still do all that too as well. You know, so instead of choosing a city planner, for example, you know, choosing a communications and marketing over a city planner would be that we do have a massive amount of events. This is something that this community has been built on is events, whether that's just for the residents or for the outsiders, you know, coming in to enjoy the amenities of it. So that was kind of the direction initially, instead of going with a city planner for using that as an example. You know, we even kind of had last year had budgeted kind of consulting work on a city planner, and we never even used that. You know, we ended up using those monies for other infrastructure projects that were figuring it out. So we didn't even use the city planner stuff that we had allocated because we realized that, hey, we didn't have a need for it. You know, working with Jaman, working with Dorothy, they've been on the website since 2010, 11 sometime. Since I've been here, we've had over a 20% increase in website viewership. They're still the ones that are on the website. So we're obviously seeing a big uptick in what they're already doing, with now we're starting to have to communicate more. So things that are already in place, we're just continuing to do better, you know, and try to get more information out. I know some people have talked about a newsletter, trying to get out. I mean, there's a lot of little things that, from the staffing perspective, yes, it is a little bit of overhead, but just like parks are an investment into the community for both our residents and for non-residents that has to come out of general fund. They don't make money for the city, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. A communications and marketing person is almost in a way the same thing. You're providing an asset to the residents to help communicate information, whether that's emergencies, whether that's city functions and events, or for other projects or other EDC functions, or I mean, they're a jack of all trades, from videos to digital graphics to press releases to, you know, to notifying residents of Trashgate, you know, stuff, you know, things that we could do better that we don't see from our perspective.
So, are we having any issues with communications now?
I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say that we've increased communications, at least from my perspective, since I've been here. Our first one was Snowpocalypse 1.0 when I first came on board. We kind of seen social media implode. I was stuck in Houston at the time, so we started getting information flow out. That was kind of my very first exposure to our communication methodologies, whatever those were at the time. We wanted to keep that momentum going. We've talked to the city team about that, saying, and of course, Jermaine, Dorothy, and everybody, how do we continue that momentum on communication? Again, we started the coffee with the city manager. That's been ongoing since July of last year. We've even though the city or the Facebook page is not the city site, we include Dorothy, Jermaine, and Jimbo in on that to make sure we spread a unified messaging from council and from it. So our communication is far better than what it was when I first came on board from all aspects of it. But with that, the more you communicate, the more people expect that communication. And so now it's just kind of a matter of honing that communication and how can we do better. We could always do better. From a staff perspective on communication, in volunteers, I'm capped on it as far as staff. This would help, this asset for us would help expand and enhance the volunteers that are already doing it, but also provide another resource for it. And then here's the other side of this too, from the business perspective. If it doesn't work out and it needs to shift, then we pivot. And we do just what we would need to do on anything else. We've realigned a lot of positions, not necessarily by job title, but by, duties since I've been here. One of the first things that when I came on board, and I think this is relevant to it, we were looking at going to a 28-day pay period, a once-a-month paycheck when I first came on board. No change in city staff. That was when I first came on, that's what they wanted to do. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, well, city secretary is doing payroll. All we did was take that responsibility and put it onto Camille, who at the time was municipal courts. And guess what? We are more efficient in the process. So we're continuously assessing our positions, to make them more efficient and to provide, a different level of service. So while we might be adding positions to it, we're not just frivolously adding positions. We're trying to make sure that we are the most efficient that we can. Joyce's position may not even need to be filled full time once we start implementing a better, utility billing software. I mean, we're trying to work on a propagation study now just to get the information to present to council on how residents can be more involved in their water, meter reading, little things like that. Another big one is payroll. We're still doing payroll manual inputs into Encode. So there's little things that we're going to be able to be more efficient on as this goes on, that as positions fall off, we can then either not replace them at all or replace them with critical positions that are going to help the city go forward.
Did anybody else have any other discussion on this right here?
What kind of salary are we talking about?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it was budgeted in there. I think the range. I don't know the range off the top of my head. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
But one thing I did want to make a correction. In our legal minutes, we put, prepare a job description for marketing communication and place the position on hold. It was two different things. It wasn't just we were going to vote on it as soon as we got a job description. But my concern is we've added 2 full-time positions in administration for
Okay, Donna,
less than 2 years.
you already expressed your opinion, we understand that. You already said that, it's redundant. I want to see what else the council members have to say, please.
Well, that's fine.
Let's see if they have any questions. Bruce, you said something, or are you through with your discussion? Your question, you had a question.
The thing I'm struggling with is spending the amount of money that we're talking about spending. And, Dalton, you even said that we've been able to, cover things. I just want to make sure that we're not putting this position in place when we could delegate some of these things that are on this job description to existing employees that we already have.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't want
I'm
it.
always about
They don't want it.
spending taxpayers' money and doing it in the best way possible where we get a return on our investment. We know there's no return on this position.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like
gonna bring
parks and other
revenue in.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
So we can take that out of the equation. I just want to have a clear conscience to know that we, absolutely need to have this person. Or is it something that we can look at 6 months from now or a year from now? What's going to be the benefit or what's not going to be the benefit of it?
Yeah, the job description stuff we've put is, in my opinion, we've done as much as we can on the volunteers. I think we do have a little bit, actually, I take that back. I think we have a lot more capacity in our volunteers to kind of expand it, but we need somebody that can be that liaison within the city to kind of help manage that. It can't be me, it can't be a volunteer. There's certain things in it that just can't be done. Otherwise, why not have every single city staff member go back to a commissioner form of government, have council members run departments, and have all volunteers do it? You know, so I mean, at a point, you know, but the point is though, is at what point do you stop and say, is this too much? And that's kind of the over embellishing argument that I'm trying to say is none of this stuff is stuff that our current city staff can do. They're already peaked as far as what it is.
John,
So-
you've already said, do you have any other further?
I talked to them, I talked to the staff, and they're like, it's very hodgepodge, you know, breaking it up, different duties and things. It would just be so much easier for them to be, you know, to one person who's
Right.
responsible for all of this.
I
Because we
understand.
have a lot of activities, and for them to organize that under one person, I think would be a benefit. So I'm for adding this position.
Larry, what about you?
I don't, I can't really say where I can really disagree with what he's talking about. Because
You being John or Rudy?
the salary was the only thing I had a question about.
Robin?
Well, I mean, I still have questions. I mean, I've just now seen this job description. I don't think this is not up for a vote tonight. I think there's still discussion that needs to be had, and we need to work through it. I personally don't want to kill the dialogue about this, because I think there's some pros and cons that come with every discussion, and I think we need to weigh through those to try to come up with a consensus as a council but I think there's still, clearly there's some questions.
You have a question on the job description or the position, what are both? I'm just trying to.
No, I just need to read through this, and if I mean, yes, I will have questions. If we're not gonna do it in some sort of a workshop type of deal, then, you know, I think we need to come in individually, to talk to, Dalton and yourself and better understand.
Where you wanna go with this, where you wanna go?
I think we need to.
I agree. I think we need to have some further discussion on this. We need to look at it a little bit deeper. You know, get Dalton's input on, you know, how we can delegate some of this stuff if we can. You know, we're talking about spending quite a bit of money here. So, yeah, for me, it's, you know, let's put it on hold for right now and talk about it at a different format, and then we'll come back and visit it.
Do I hear a motion to tell me that?
Are we up for that?
I don't think it's up for that.
That's not up for motion.
Yeah, well, we need to move this forward on it, so what do y'all wanna do?
Table it and have more discussion.
Okay. Okay, then we're gonna move on to the next item now. And that's item 8. Got to consider ground storage on resolution 2022.28. Do I hear somebody accept that motion, please? Resolution?
Jesse, you want to talk about kind of the history of this?
Yeah, in 2017, we got our first ground storage at Pump Station.
Hey, come up to the podium, please.
Talk loud, Jesse, talk loud.
You're not gonna get off that easy.
Yeah, our current pump station went online in 2017, early spring, and since that time, it's been pushing for the next one. You know, the gears turned slow, so here we are. We're really stressed this summer, the biggest summers we've had in the past. We kind of use 1 million gallons in a day as a benchmark. We've had 21 days in the summer of 2020. This year it was 55 days. In the entire month of July, averaged over 1 million a day. So it's time to keep up with demand. We're not caught in the TCEQ rules like we done before, but demand is draining our towers. We're stressed trying to get the pumps rebuilt this summer. We run our system pretty hard keeping up.
Nope,
Just, I need to ask a question.
I do too.
Go ahead, Sean, you go first.
I'm just curious, because we were talking about the pumps going down. How are we doing on that?
They're rebuilt and they're running great, really great.
We're both of them working good?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in one of the updates.
But like I say, during the dead of summer, we're really pushing them hard. And a rebuild at 5 years is pretty quick for a rebuild on pumps.
My question, Jesse, was, it says the staff recommends moving forward with just the base bid, $3,578,319, and the recommendation of Cobb Finley, our engineers, wanted it approved also with the cash allowances in there for an additional $100,000. And I was looking at what the cash allowances are, and they're like things to do with the electrical and the SCADA system and stuff. So
Yes.
I was just wondering why we felt like we could eliminate those cash allowances, knowing nothing about this at all.
Because, we're going with dedicated controls. They do all our SCADA controls work. We've had excellent service from them. They installed the current pump station, the whole system we have, and they're great. We don't have to send that out to bid, and I want to stay with them.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I know we had a SCADA system
Don't want to
before.
get caught with somebody that's less. Your control system can trash a $3.5 million project.
Okay, so these cash allowances, we're going to still have them, but we're going to have someone else handle them, is that correct?
It'll be part of the actual bid. So the engineers, and we can have Alfonso talk about that process a little bit if need be. So yeah, that was a typo on the memo. It's supposed to be the 33.678 for the base bid. So that includes the cash allowance. So one of the things we learned, and let's kind of providing context for the community on this. We went out for bid initially in March, I believe it was. And it came back at 5.13. So, I mean, 100% over what we had initially anticipated. Kind of looking back through kind of, the history of it from basically 2018 when Walker Partners was initially going to put a proposal in, the engineering to probable cost was roughly about the same. Of course, nobody could anticipate, the world events, that unfolded, which in turn, our bond went from one of the highest interest rates to we're actually making money on the bond now. So, that's a small silver lining to that. So we decided to go ahead and say, no, that's too high. It was only a single bid. We did not do what's called a construction manager at risk, which, no point in even talking about that on this one. We did what's called a design build. And so because of the complexity of it, when you're dealing with SCADA, when you're dealing with multiple different components, electrical generator, fuel, water piping, one general contractor has to go in and basically predict, what those are going to be. Some have the experiences in it, some don't. And so dedicated controls was kind of one of the ones that they didn't really have experience, so they really didn't know how to kind of do that. And again, we tied in the generators, which plus liquidated damages. Anyways, it created a big mess. So we wanted to go back out for rebid after we kind of seen really what we thought would be the market stabilizing. We didn't want to push it back too far. But we wanted to take the generators and pull them out and do them as alternates, which is why we're saying accept the base bid and then reject alternate 1 and 2 for the generators. Because we just did a generator project, we know that we could probably get a cheaper, bid on the generators. So those would go out for rebid, but the base bid would start the process of the tank and everything else. So the cash allowance would be in there for ultimately the SCADA controls that we can kind of use. So it just offers some flexibility for us to be able to choose the SCADA that we've historically been working with and those partners with it without having to try to redo a complete bid and go out for electrical or anything else.
So the SCADA, you'll come back with there'll be a different price for the SCADA. This does not include a generator, this does not include the SCADA stuff. Is that correct?
The base bid, correct.
The base bid, correct. So,
Does
so,
not include
so,
that.
so the cash allowance on the SCADA basically says is because, so under procurement laws, you can sole source. So dedicated controls would basically be a sole sourcing because they have specialty, you know, in it. Even though there's 100 different SCADAs, for the stuff that we have, it would be under the sole sourcing, provision or whatever it is.
And
So,
and
so,
I'm
so.
happy with that, 'cause I
yeah,
know
so,
you're happy
so,
with the company
so that
that did that.
$100,000 cash is allocated for it. We may not use all of it, but that $100,000 cash is in there, so we don't have to come back and do a change order on it. And we get a direct quote from Dedicated Controls on what that would be using the sole source procurement. So it ties it under the bid, it will be used for Dedicated Controls, and then we would get the quote from Dedicated Controls.
So this resolution, what we are approving, the amount is gonna be the $3,578,319.
3.6.
It's not on here correctly, so could you give us that
Yeah,
amount?
so the resolution, is it on the resolution at 3.5?
In section two, it has the amount. And so
Okay,
we
so
need
yeah,
to-
we just need to update that one on there. So if council says approve the resolution with the amended number at the 3.6 for the cash,
Well, we can change it before we vote on the resolution.
C-
What i-
correct,
what is that
correct,
amount?
correct.
3,000,000?
What's that number?
3,678,319. It's on the second page on the recommendation from Cobb Finley.
Well, that's what I was asking, because the city had one figure down and Cobb Finley had another one.
Yeah,
Okay.
the memo was fat fingered, so it should have been a 6 and not a 5, and then the memo, the resolution was drafted based off the memo, so.
Okay, so, the corrected resolution, okay. And just so the citizens know, this is something vital to our city. It's extra storage of water, which we desperately need, especially in the summer months, to have these tanks. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, and like Dalton said, he was able to get us certificates of obligation at a low interest rate. And Dalton, is there any consideration to paying for this with COVID funds?
So that was gonna be the other thing was funding. So with the COVID bond, or with the bond money, the COs, that would be allocated to this. We recommend doing all of the ARPA funding, that we got, so the 1.163 or something like that. Apply all of that, and then the remainder would be out of cash. We looked at Texas Water Development Board, but all it is a low-interest loan. So you're still, in a way, putting a note on the table, regardless. It's not just free money or grants. So we do still have the $550,000 grant that's on the table. We haven't been denied for it yet, for the generator, so that's still in the works right now, and that's ongoing. So that could help offset some of the costs as well. So we'd be looking at roughly anywhere between 500 to 750,000 in cash. We have about $4+ million in unrestricted cash right now, not including bonds or anything like that.
So there's no grant money available out there for a project like this that you're aware of?
That we're aware of right now. Most of the stuff that, especially for water stuff, is usually low interest loans, or they call it a grant, but like Texas Water Development Board, when we looked into them, it's such a lengthy process, and the way that it works with both the COs and allocation of COs, there's basically like, I don't know the right terminology for it, but it's basically double dipping. So if we go and get the generator grant and then we had allocated for it, if we use both of those fundings in there, then technically we're doing it. So what we'd have to do is pull that generator money out, apply the grant for it, and then reallocate it that way. We've looked for, I mean, there is millions of dollars out there. Most of it is that we've seen, at least that we're aware of, is Texas Water Development Board is a pass-through entity. So federal funding will always usually pass through a state entity. Great example is the Department of Justice. Even though it's federal funding, trillions of dollars, it'll go through Department of Justice, through OAG, or through others. So Texas Water Development Board is just a pass-through entity, and Texas Water Development Board is specifically low-interest loans.
So if we do more research and find that there is grant money out there, can it then be applied to this after the project's complete?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, we could do some research on it, because again, we're continuously looking for grants. We'll just have to do some more research on that. If that part of the project hasn't been constructed yet, or we can dive into that a little bit more and go from there. But Right now, the generator is the one that we have on the table for it. Like I said, we looked at the Texas Water Development Board, and all you're doing is just adding another piece of debt to the city when we have the cash ultimately to pay for it.
So I'm curious, when we started this project, what was 2 million, what was it?
About so when our initial engineering and probable cost before really the economy kind of went the direction it did was about 2.6. Or sorry, 2.3.
3.6.
Looking back in 2020 on one of the proposals, is either 2018 or 20, roughly the engineering and probable cost was about the same, 2.3 to 2.7. So it's just one of those things, you just can't predict what the market's gonna do, and
So that's an increase of,
about 50%. But we saved 50% from the first bid.
You did the very best you could.
but do you predict this keeps going up and we keep kicking the can down the road?
Absolutely, because if you continue to kick the can down the road, you're looking at 10%, 8 to 10%, depending on commodity of inflation every single year, and it's just,
I don't
and again,
think,
you can't
I don't think
predict the
anybody
future.
wants to kick
Yeah,
the can
yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
We are all totally on board with doing this and have been for the last couple of years, just getting our figures and our fundings together. So with that being said, I move that we adopt Resolution 2022, approving a contract with JM Pipeline LLC for the installation of groundwater storage tank and pump station, with changing Section 2, the figure to $3,678,319.
I'll second.
And that is 2022.28. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes on that.
And just on a side note for future projects, this is kind of the layout that we plan on doing. So if you have any suggestions, council, on how you want to see it, we had 2 bidders for the project. Again, we put the weighted criteria in there on how those came about. Again, everything is, adhered to. But if there's something that you would like to see, or if you like to see it this way, we'll continue to do it this way. That way, you'll always see all the bidders, what they're doing, what they're looking at, and ultimately why we kind of went the direction that we went.
I like how you showed it. I liked how it
Okay.
showed the bidding process and the points that they got, and then the recommendations. I like the way that this was presented very much.
You did a good job on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it to Landon real quick. He's gonna give the MS4 report. MS4 has something to do with stormwater drainage, but those are the experts. I'll let them talk about it. So this is one of the mandatory reporting requirements, for TCEQ. Again, we just want to make sure we continue to stay up on it. So enjoy the light reading. Thank you, Landon.
Thank you for doing my job. But, So, Mayor, City Council, citizens, I am the Chief Operator for the for the Utilities Department here. And this is the MS4 Stormwater Public Outreach and Education. I'm going to go and start reading it. The City of Morgan's Point Resort is designated as an MS4, small municipal separate storm sewer system according to the Federal Clean Water Act and Chapter 26 of the Texas Water Code. Our city is required to maintain a permit and a stormwater management program according to the rules of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. One of the requirements of our program is a public education, outreach, and involvement. Other program requirements are illicit discharge monitoring, illegal dumping, construction site erosion control, municipal operations, and employee training. An illicit discharge is a dumping of recreational vehicle waste, outdoor chemical storage, portable cleaning operations, fats, oils, grease, and faulty septic system overflows. This is the time of the year. Please, please, please don't dump your turkey frying oils into our environment. Illegal dumping is defined by TCEQ as the disposal, transportation of, for disposal, or allowance of disposal of litter or solid waste any place other than a landfill or other approved waste disposal site. Some of the most common types of illegal dumping involves items that are difficult to dispose of, including tires, landscape waste, construction debris, appliances, furniture, household garbage, chemicals, batteries, and fluorescent lights. Our maintenance department does a great job of cleaning up behind those who have little or no appreciation for our community. Construction sites of 1 acre or greater are required to take measures to prevent the erosion of sediment that eventually makes its way to our streams and lakes. We practice good housekeeping for our own municipal operations. This includes park and open space maintenance, new construction and land disturbances, parking lots, vehicle and equipment maintenance, and storage yards and street maintenance job sites. We train our own staff who are very diligent about keeping our city clean. We also report and address any problems we see as we perform our daily jobs around the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Landon.
Thank you.
Oh, they went to,
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, Catrice will get all that stuff handled. So update on the grant. So, the grant program, this is obviously, we're continuing to build it out. This is, we'll call this kind of a draft version of what we're looking at now. And the big one is, Safe Routes to Schools up and coming. They actually pushed that back and delayed it. Catherine's initial position was, kind of in the finance role, so she was mostly doing 90% working with Carrie to, get a lot of the back office kind of stuff done. We just really ultimately shifted her to predominantly, focus on the grants and start building out what that looks like. So this is kind of the draft version of what we're starting to look at. We do have the $550,000 grant that's on the table right now still for the generator. We just approved one through the Office of Attorney General, Department of Justice grant for the $27,000 for mobile data units. Those resolutions are actually going to be coming to council in December, so we're working through that process right now. That one actually almost didn't make it. We got a call from Chief Schutze that basically said that due to some, we'll call it just some local DA politics, that they potentially weren't going to fund Bell County or some of the Bell County departments because of what was happening. We did reach out to our representatives, our state reps, and within a day I had 2 letters from the governor's office saying that the funding is going to go through. So it worked out really well. So there's a lot of little things, and we're working with the City of Belton's grant coordinator as well, who's a local resident. We won't call anybody out, but she's helping us also identify some of those other grants out there. So we are really building the grant program out. One of the things that we have to really balance, and again, we don't want to throw too much out there, because is it a great thing if we get $11 million worth of grants? Maybe. But if we have a 10 or 20% match and we have to fork up, $3 million, is it worth it at that point? Yes, it's free money, but free money comes at a cost. And so as we start identifying these grants, we want to make sure that we tie them into specific projects or parks or other amenities. So we're going to continue to build this program out as we start working through some of the infrastructure priorities, parks priorities, and other council objectives and visions kind of going forward. We'll continue to bring to the table those resolutions and everything. So pretty much most of these large scale grants, especially everything with the match to it, is going to come to council in some form or fashion.
Appreciate that. There's a lot of vendors. We look at it on your packages.
a lot of them haven't been applied for.
There's a lot of vendors.
And then Bell County Health Representatives, so we recognized Mr. Mosley, I think a couple council meetings ago, reached out to Amy Yeager and them and Catherine Long over at the Health District. So Morgan's Point Resort is still in need of a representative for the Bell County Health District Board to represent Morgan's Point Resort.
Did John retire?
I think he's still working. He's semi-retired, but he retired from the health board. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think he's still dabbling in whatever John dabbles in.
Okay, but he's not we don't have a representative presently?
Currently, we do not have a representative at the board. So we are getting information from them, but we don't have somebody that's actually at the board. So we're initially trying to find some candidates or some nominations to do it. One of the requirements is you got to be a resident for at least 3 years. So those were some of the bylaws from the Health District Board. So think about it. If there's some nominees or anybody that council would like to put on the board, They don't necessarily have to have public health experience, and we can bring that to council in December.
The other thing that keeps popping its head up is Board of Adjustments, that we're required to have a Board of Adjustments.
Correct. So
And
I was talking with the mayor, we are gonna start figuring out what that looks like from the legal standpoint to make sure we establish the Board of Adjustments, and then any other committees. I know, the mayor and I had talked, or he had talked to me the other day about, again, committees, Parks and Recreation committees or Parks committees. These are things that have come up historically before. So these are all things that we want to start bringing
Okay.
back to the table this year.
yeah, we don't want to let that fall through the cracks because that's something that it keeps coming up that we're required to have it. So we need to make sure that's a top priority with us.
And then, in other news, the lake has went up 1 inch.
Yay!
Members, let's talk about Sean today. Do you have any closing comments? Oh, wait a minute, Donna,
I have the Ladies Auxiliary report. Okay. This is from Karen Steigner with the Ladies Auxiliary. They wish to thank everyone for their continued support throughout the year for the auxiliary programs and thank the city. Without you, they said they couldn't do it. Recently, they helped the COPS organization with their support of Senior Trooper Nipper's Memorial Barbecue. They want to thank our firefighters for their volunteer service with the tents. Again, we're thrilled to help with the NPR Halloween contest. They help with that with the COPS program. We sent out a special thank you to Scout Troop 118 for answering the call and volunteering to assist in games. Pictures are on their Facebook page and on the city website. The fall schedule, they have a lot going on. This weekend, Saturday the 19th, they're going to do their craft and bake sale. It's going to be held from City Hall to 9 to 1, and get there early because they sell out quick. They're such delicious foods. And they want to thank the City and Mary Ruth Briggs Library for letting us use the space. I guess the community center was occupied, probably rented out. Partnering with the Volunteer Fire Association, the 2022 Santa Pal program for less fortunate kiddos and families has been kicked off. There's applications at City Hall and the Safety Center and on the city website. So the application deadline is December 2nd, and donation boxes for food and toys are located at City Hall, the Safety Center, and at Backyard Barbecue. And they're going to pick those up December 9th. Please consider contributing. There's going to be, to support the Santa Pal, there's going to be a chili dinner fundraising that's been planned for Saturday, December 3rd, 5 to 7 at the fire station at the Safety Center. Chili with all the fixing, cornbread, and desserts for $12. Please plan to support the fundraiser and enjoy some yummy chili. And they do make good chili. So let's come out. Let's put our our money where our mouths are. Get out there and support your fire department and support the Santa Pal program. To help promote the Santa Pal Chili fundraisers, they are sponsoring a sponsorship, a sign to personalize for you. There's order forms at City Hall, the Safety Center, on the website. For $50, you can have your name or logo on an arrow sign directing everybody to the event. So if you want to get your name out there, or your business wants to get their name out there, that's pretty inexpensive for advertising. And she said, on the subject of Santa and Mrs. Claus are coming to town on Friday, December 2nd. Also with Elf Landon. I'm sure he will make his presence known again. And the Ladies Auxiliary be there to serve cocoa and cookies, crafting balloon creatures. I think Lynn talked about it. There'll be hay rides, singing. I use that term loosely with Mrs. Claus. We have ornament crafts, coloring book activities. So it is a wonderful, and it's a family event. You don't even have to bring a kiddo. Just come yourself and see Santa and Mrs. Claus. December 12th, the auxiliary will be driving down the streets. They're checking out the Christmas lights. They do their Christmas lighting contest. And that's going to be on December 12th through Sunday, December 18th. So they put a nice little sign in your yard telling you what a great job you did with your lights. So y'all may want to think about putting your lights out and participating in this. And lastly, each year we provide our 30-plus volunteer firefighters with a Christmas stocking of goodies. If anyone wants to contribute to the stockings, please provide at least 30 stocking stuffers and contact any member of the auxiliary by Thursday, December 15th. And so they'll have those ready for our firefighters. And then they want to remind everybody to save the date on 2023 and February 11th at the Hilton Garden, and that is their annual, they're bringing it back, the Valentine's Party dance. It's a wonderful, wonderful occasion. She said, we love our firefighters and we love to let them know it. Again, thank you for your fellowship, encouragement, and support, submitted by Karen Steigner. So we thank the auxiliary for all the wonderful work they do in our city.
All right. Okay, John?
Well, That Valentine's party is something to look forward to.
What's that?
That Valentine's party, I love that.
Oh, yeah, isn't that fun?
I'd like to hear from our, I guess, our community about this marketing position and our organizations that we have that would be under that. I would like to hear what they have to say about that position. So maybe it could be, maybe invite them in or have some communication from them so we can make a solid vote on that.
Set up a communication thing for communication.
Yeah, you know, I talked to the staff and
I'll check on that.
they're like, they don't wanna juggle that position, like piece it up. Cause that's gonna be a hard position to keep track of this city, really. All the events and photograph it and put that press release out there and things, but, you know, we have a difference of opinion.
There's an event planning meeting, Sean, on November 29th. What time is it? 10? I have my phone. I'll look and get back with you. And everybody that is planning any event in the city for the whole year will be there.
Awesome.
And so those are a lot of our head of our committees and volunteers. So that'd be a great place for you to come if you can, and you can have a great discussion with them.
So we could show up there and it wouldn't be intrusive?
It would be.
It would be?
If y'all have more than 3, it'd be a walking.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh, we can't. Okay.
Unless posted.
I mean, we could.
How could we do that? Have communicated, you know?
Good idea, son. Appreciate it.
Let's hear what everybody has to say about it.
Yeah, we can post that.
Comment on the
Eric,
web,
you have
comment on the website.
There we go.
That- and everybody, no, just thank everybody for coming. Stay warm.
I'm good, thank you. Good night.
Well, I just want to thank the citizens of Morgan's Point for turning out for the election and the things that we did. It's absolutely fabulous to see that many people exercise their right to vote. For whatever reason, they showed up, but their voice was heard. And again, just want to say thank you for that.
10 o'clock on the 29th. I want to reiterate what Bruce said. What a fabulous turnout we had, and I just pray it's wonderful when we live in a community, where we live in a country where we can express our opinions, and we all come around and hug each other at the end, and we just keep on going with whatever we've got. So thank y'all for coming out and voting. I appreciate y'all so much.
I think the last largest turnout we had was 458 on voting.
Big difference, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Huge difference.
Was that just on a city election vote, though?
Yeah, that was city election,
Yeah.
458.
Yeah.
Okay, in closing, I was gonna say a few things. We're talking a lot tonight about volunteers, and I hear people or I see people on the internet every now and then, well, they didn't ask me to volunteer, they didn't ask me to be on that committee or this committee or whatever. Folks, if we don't know you exist, we can't appoint you. You know, please, as I said before, if you have any desire to serve on the EDC, the planning and zoning, the library board, any of them, please turn your name in at the city, just turn your name in and the short resume as to what you'd like to do and contact information. That's the only way, unless you come to these meetings, which I'm not talking to y'all, I'm talking to people in here. Down here, because y'all already here. And, but please give us an opportunity to put you on a committee or a board, but we have to know you're there. And you have, and you would have served, okay? And I appreciate that, and I'll make sure they more about voting, because that's been covered already. The only other thing is, I guess that's it. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Everybody.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.